welcome everyone for a workshop on personal branding. Personal branding refers to the process of creating a unique identity and image for yourself based on your skills, values, and personality. Building a strong personal brand can have several benefits both in your personal and professional life. This session will be facilitated by our expert Lakshmi Jeyaraman, Divisional Manager Consulting and Solutions at Avtar Group. With 20 years of functional experience in sales, marketing, and training from organizations like Citibank, ING Vysya, Maruti Udyog, and Able Ventures, enable Lakshmi to deliver sessions on customer orientation, people development, resource management, compliance, improving sales quality, psychometric analysis, team building, professionalism, communication, and presentation skills. To know more about the speakers, go to the Know Your Speakers tab. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Mansa. A very happy afternoon, all of you, all lovely ladies present out there. Give me a minute as I pull up my slide on this personal branding. So thank you so much for patiently listening in and making the most of this wonderful event that we have all put together for you all. So as Mansa had introduced, I'm going to be talking to you all on the personal branding. Right. So as I was researching on this topic, I came across. I'm sure when I'm going to share this name, this is going to be very resonating with you all. You definitely would have read about her story. None other than Arunima Das, right? The female amputee mountain climber, right? So when I was doing a research on her, I realized what kind of a passion that could have drove her to what she has achieved today, right? And when I was again doing reading about her, the only statement that she made about herself was, I want to be, after having gone through that accident, and as she was lying there in the hospital bed and waiting to get operated, the thought that came into her mind, rather after getting operated, when people were feeling sorry for her, already she was a lady, and and now that she doesn't have one leg, right? So the thoughts that were going in on her mind, the first thing that motivated her was, she coined a sentence for herself in her narrative, positive narrative, and that she identifies as to be the first female amputee mountain climber. Imagine the power of getting those driven down into you, every cell of your body, and living through that passion of going about it and achieving that. And that's what made Arunima Das who she is today. So I thought I will share a beautiful story to start with, what is highlighting the importance of the personal branding. So as we segue into this session, what is it that we have lined up for you all? We will identify what is personal branding, why is personal branding important, and how. We always do this what, why, and how, right? So what is personal branding, why is it important, and how can I develop or build this personal branding? Those four steps aspect which we will be talking about in this session. So what is personal branding according to you all? What is that, what is that you want to identify yourself with? So let me take you all through this quick four-step process of identifying and building a very powerful personal brand, right? Who are you, right? Who you are. Why do I need to identify myself first in order to have a fantastic or a very impactful personal brand? Why is it mandatory for me to identify and resonate with who I am, who you are, right? So this will help me understand, who am I, what are my likes and dislikes, uh, what do I want out of life, where do I want to go, what do I want to achieve. All of this question gets unraveled one after the other. So one of the most important, the first step in identifying a personal brand is to relate to this, the sentence of who you are. The second one being what you do. Passion. You could probably be a passionate cook. You could probably be a passionate coder. Anything that comes your way, you are able to crack that in no time at all. You could be a passionate gardener. You could be a passionate caretaker, right? You could be a passionate, in anything that you choose to be, right? So what you do, that defines you. What For me, if you were to ask, I would say that I love talking, and that's why I'm in this profession of facilitating. I love talking, and I have never shied away from connecting with people. So that is what makes me who I am today. So yes, you need to identify yourself with the question of what you do. What makes you different? Having identified these are my these are my areas, how am I different, right? I would like to draw your attention here to my founder director here, Dr. Saundarya. When she was going through her phase of being a second career woman, the 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 thought that she was, I am a very very able and capable candidate, yet I am not given that opportunity to be on par with the male colleague, just because I have had a career break, right? So this thought made her think what I can do different, and that was probably what drove her to coin this company and bring about this company called the Avatar. So what makes you different? I want to do different by different for people like me, people who have had a second career, people who want to get back to a career, people who had to drop out of the second career because of XYZ reason. I want to give them a second opportunity, like life gave me. Life, I gave it to my own self. So she identified with that, and that probably saw us, coining this company called Avtar. And last but not the least, how you create value for others. And again, I will draw your attention here. What can I am passionate. I though Dr. Saundarya, she would not want me to talk about it, but then the way she advocates for giving back to the society, right? We do it in our own way through Putri, to Project Putri. That is a core value that I have identified. I have identified, I want to help the future of India. I want to help identify the children, the children, the girl children who are going to be the future of India. So what is it that I'm going to be giving back? What is it that value that I want to create? When somebody looks at me, what is the value I create? What is the first thing that they talk about it? This is something that I identifies or creates our core value. So in order to get into the definition of what a personal branding is all about, it's a recognizable name and reputation. When people look at you, what they see in you, what they, the first thing that comes into your mind, what is that? That is something that defines your personal branding. It's a combination of how we present ourselves and how the others remember us, right? What do I project myself as? What persona do I project to the outside world? And when people look at me, oh, she's Lakshmi, acha, she's this person, right? So this is something that people remember us for, right? So it's a combination of my persona and my and the way the outside world looks at me. So that is the definition of the personal branding. Having identified the importance of personal brand, what is the definition of the personal branding, let's now look at the importance of creating a powerful personal brand. What does creating a powerful personal brand do to us? You become credible. People start listening into you. Earlier, people would be like, "Acha, theek hai, baad mein." They would probably not want to pay attention. But when you create this, impactful personal branding, people start, listening into you. You build your own credibility. You make people look up to you. You come up as a very credible resource. So whatever comes authenticates. You authenticate a lot of things. So whatever comes out of your mouth, people do not have to do a double check going back. So it you are credible, you establish yourself as a credible source. People start trusting you more because it is from your end. You don't they don't, again I'm repeating, they don't do a double check because they trust you, because that's the credibility you have built in, and they are willing to go all out in trusting you because you have established yourself as an expert in what you are doing, right? Increased visibility. You when you start developing and building your personal brand, people start looking at you with different lenses. They try and identify something that they probably wouldn't have seen. They try and identify some niche skills that you probably possessed and it was not seen earlier, but now because you are building your personal brand, people start looking at you with a different lens altogether. And in the end, it's going to be increasing our self confidence because people are now going to be coming back to us asking for more work, asking for more more inputs from our end. So that builds on that self confidence. Array, now people are going to be listening into what I am saying. I am glad. So that kind of increases your self confidence notch higher. And ultimately, what is it going to be doing to me? At the end of the day, we are all here for the aspect of progressing in our career. So This will ultimately help us getting into our career that we want. Excuse my quote. Yes. So how can you build your personal brand? Excuse me for my bad throat. Just give me. So what can we do to build our personal brand? There is a four-step process again here. And the first I have already introduced yourself into, which is the who are you, right? Knowing yourself. The very reason we need to know ourselves is we need to understand what we want out of our life. What is the professional achievement I would like to attain? What is the personal achievement I would like to and have in my life? So that is the first step. The second step being identifying your and living by your core values. I will talk about it as I come to that slide. Then the third step being creating personal branding statement. When people look at you, what is that signature statement that they can relate with you? Again, I'll talk to you about it in detail as I come to that slide. And last but not the least, where is it leading me into? It is leading me into reinventing myself. I want to unravel something that has not happened earlier. In the process of building my own personal brand, I am redefining myself. I am moving into a better version of myself every day, and that is helping me reinvent myself. So this is how we are going to be building the personal brand, powerful personal brand. So let's look at it one by one. How do I get into this four-step process? So what is it I have to do in order to know myself? We would have heard a lot of spiritual gurus talking about go deep within, understand who you are, what is it that you want, why are you who you are right now. All this, the reason people, the gurus always talk about that is this will definitely help us take that first step, right? When I am in that deep state, when I'm talking about, when I'm understanding, talking to my own self and understanding who I am opening to a plethora of opportunity, that probably the potential that is lying within me, which is untapped so far, right? So it is very very mandatory for all of us to know ourselves, right? So how do I go about having this inner persona identified? And the first step, what makes me the person who I am, is the experience of being who I am. The experiences that has shaped me, right? Who I am today, all that, the lived in experiences that has shaped me, that is probably will help me understand who I am as I am today. The skills, as I grew up, the skills I was born with, and as I grew up, the skills I acquired in the process. This talks about the skill set that I have acquired so far in my life. The strengths, what are all some of the strengths that I'm really proud about? Now if you were to ask me, I would say that my core strength, I love talking about this, is talking. I love communicating. When I used to do my MBA, I realized that I was never hesitant or reluctant to talk to my fellow passengers. I used to travel from Chennai to Pune, where my MBA institute was, and in the process of traveling in a 1.5 hour, 1.5 day journey, a train journey, I would initiate conversations with my fellow passengers, and it would result in so very beautiful friendship, with within us, that I still maintain a lot of contacts with them. That's because the strength that I had worked on. And what is that strength? I love communicating. And this exact strength has helped me get into my, important, one of the most important role of being a saleswoman. I started my career being a saleswoman. And for sales, you just had to talk, you just had to draw attention to your product. And that helped me. And now what I'm doing in my current profession, yes, the strength that I'm using is my being I'm able to communicate with people a lot, and that is adding to what I'm doing, adding value to what I'm doing. So it is very very mandatory to identify the strengths from within. Unique personality traits, not everybody can be relating to this to start with, but as you dwell deeper, right, you will probably understand one of the traits that you are really proud of. For example, if you were to identify that trait, ask me, Lakshmi, what is your trait? I would say I am a person who cannot be down for more than 10 seconds, right? That is something that I really pride myself, maximum 15 seconds, but not beyond that. So that is one of the unique personality traits that I possess, and I'm very proud of it. I am definitely a work in progress, but then I have identified that, and I am making getting into a better version of myself. Reputation, how others know you. When they look at you, what is it that they think of you, right? So I would, of course, again, I'm saying I am work in progress, but then when people will look at me, I would want them to identify me as a very positive individual. When they come to my bay, when they come to my cubicle, right? I just want them to feel that aura of positivity. Whatever sad moments that they have gone through, when they enter my bay, they should just forget about it, and they should just get motivated just for by being around me. That is something that I would want, to work on. I am a work in progress, but that is something that I have identified myself. I want as a go-to reputation for my own self. So, like this, it is mandatory for all you ladies to identify what are the experiences that has shaped you, who you are, what are the skill sets that you have right now, what have you acquired in the process, what are your strengths currently, what is your unique personality trait, and what reputation you have. When people look at you, what do they think of? This is something mandatory that you need to identify yourself. I will give you also a simple step to identify your own self, and that is nothing other than the SWOT analysis. I'm sure most of us know what SWOT analysis is, but unless and until we take a paper and pen and get this done, it will just be a bookish, it will just be a theoretical term. When I did it, it opened my eyes to a very large extent, identifying my strengths beyond what I thought was within me, identifying my weaknesses as well beyond what I thought was at surface level. So it's very, very important that we identify and do a SWOT analysis in the process of creating and building a powerful personal branding. So what does the SWOT analysis mean? SWOT analysis is nothing but your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, right? So, what are my strengths, right? As I mentioned, I am a great, I love talking to people. So, great communicator, right? So, what I have identified that. So, having identified that, strength in me, what can I do next, right? So, this is my skill set that I have identified. So, how can I help you make use of this strength in order to move up the ladder? That is something that I can, I have to start now thinking. What could be my weakness? Where I had identified myself as a great communicator. I mean, I love talking to people, but I also had that initial hiccups of standing in front of a crowd. And being in a facilitation mode, it is very, very imperative that we shed that weakness, shed that fear of, crowd. It took me some time, but here I am. I can easily stand in front of a crowd, and I probably will have that adrenaline rush for about 2 minutes. After that, I am my own self and I start talking and I'm comfortable. So it's good to have, but having identified your weakness will only take you one step closer and make you realize, what you want to work towards. Opportunities. Having identified your great strengths, as I had mentioned, you could be a great cook, you could be a great coder, you could be a great gardener, right? What do you want to do with this? What are the opportunities available? What are the resources and external conditions that can help you identify, take your passion to the next level? So if you were to ask me, my company Avtar sponsors certification courses, right? So if I need to get into an advanced public speaking course, all I need to do is identify a public speaking course that I want myself to be accredited with, and I just need to register myself with that. It will get sponsored. So to that extent, we have been given that flexibility and the resource. I have been given that opportunity to use that resources in the wise manner. And last but not the least, the threats I bring in, right? I mean, I face as an individual. It could be either the recognizable or a threat that you had anticipated, or it could be a threat that you didn't think through at all. It could be just a curveball from nowhere, thrown against you or thrown at you. For example, I was registering for one of the courses with one of the 13-day program with one of the spiritual guru, and I remember I just had made the payment for a 13-day long course, and I had to be present every day there, for a 3 hour session. The next day, something really, really bad happened in my family, and I was just contemplating how do I overcome this and how do I continue with my this course that I had taken up. the tyranny of or, right? Do I go for it or do I not go for it? Then I decided, come what may, I need to go for it. I identified that, and despite that threat looming around me, I made sure that I'm attending that session with all that needs to be done at the familial level. Whatever I had to done, I got it done to the best possible extent. I couldn't do beyond that, but then to the best possible extent, I got it done, and I still managed to attend that, attend that session. So it's just that when you decide something, it just so happens that somewhere you are thrown this ball and you're not prepared for that. So being ready with the known and unknown, both the aspects of it, right? Both the aspects of threat will only help you fight with the situation or come out of the situation so much more successfully. So what does the SWOT analysis do to us? How does it help us? It helps us in developing a strategy. So now that I know I am what are my strengths, what are my weakness, what are my threats, what are my opportunities, I am in a better position to strategize and work towards my goal. If my goal was to buy a house, and if I am right now with a so and so salary and I need to have so much more EMI, right? So much is the EMI. What kind of a skill set do I need to acquire as I build my build my work to build I mean work towards my goal, and it will help me develop that strategy, right? Helps in attaining better understanding of one's skills and abilities. It gives me a clearer picture. This is my weakness, I acknowledge my weakness. Unless and until I acknowledge my weakness, it will become a challenge for me to, surface level acknowledgement is not enough. It really has to have that in-depth analysis. You have acknowledged and you start working towards it. So it is understanding one's skills and abilities. And if I don't have, what kind of a skill set I have, I want to get into my vision is to get into a artificial intelligence program, right? I want to be a great at artificial intelligence. So having identified that, I don't know ABC of it, let's say, I just can't do nothing about it. I just have to make sure that I start working and start talking about thinking about taking certification courses that will probably help me land such job that I'm looking at, that will help me grow towards my grow and go towards the goal that I want to look out for. Helps in understanding where we stand. This is the most important thing. When you get into a SWOT analysis, the most important thing that it does to us is understanding where we stand, where we are right now, what juncture we are, so that we can take that baby steps to start with, and then take a leap when the opportunity permits. And last but not the least, helps in assessing the scope for reaching desired goals, right? Whatever goals I have aspired for, it helps me assessing, am I on the right track? Can I have this vision right now? Can I have this goal right now? Is it too early for me to have this goal and to think about this goal? All this clarity I get into once I do my SWOT analysis, right? So how can I make use of this SWOT analysis and draw an action point? Here are a few tips for us in order to make sure that we have this SWOT analysis identified and understood in, and it is in place for all of us. When I have identified the strength, I need to make sure that I am taking proactive actions. What could be my proactive action? As I mentioned, if I am looking at an advanced public speaking course, I just have to identify, I want to work on that niche segment. I have taken some proactive step in moving towards that path, right? That is something that I can do as a first step. Weakness, having identified your weakness, how do you overcome? I just had no other choice but to stand in front of the crowd. I started doing it with a smaller crowd and increased to bigger and larger crowds eventually. But then I overcame the fear of standing in front of the crowd. Opportunities. What kind of an opportunities do I have? I just have to look around and see what kind of a support system I have that I can make use of in helping me propel my move towards building my the personal branding. And threats, last but not the least, how can I minimize those threats? As I mentioned to you about something that was unforeseen, what are all some things that I can, if not weed out completely, how can I minimize it at some level so that it helps me attend that course without having that guilt factor that, some firefighting situation back home. Yet I am in a position to attend. So how do I be better prepared for that? That is something that will, that will be identified once you do a once you have a good understanding of this thread. So I hope it was clear. Using this using this first step of understanding yourself, why is it mandatory for all of us? As I take a first step towards building a powerful brand, mandatory for me to build know myself, without which I will probably be just doing nothing, without even I even if I have to build a personal brand without knowing myself, I will go nowhere. So that is something that you need to be very very sure of as you identify yourself. The second in line, the second step, as I get into this powerful vision of getting into a powerful personal branding, is identify and live your core values, right? One of the most important aspect is difficult task is, how do I identify this core value within me? And having identified that, how do I live by that, right? So again, let me draw, I love talking about this example because this is an example that I am seeing on a regular basis. Now imagine imagine these people who have been, these personalities. We recollect these personalities for who they are right now, right? Be it Abdul Kalam, be it Ratan Tata ji, be it Warren Buffett, be it Steve Jobs, be it Abraham Lincoln, or be it Mahatma Gandhi ji, right? These personalities stand for something niche that they have done in their segment, right? Something that they have done and left behind a legacy, so that people talk about them even now, right? Again, look at these lovely ladies who have again created a stir, a furore, so that people are talking about them even now. Be it Rosa Parker, be it Ruth Badger. These ladies, be it Sudhamurthy, be it Malala, be it Kiran Bedi, be it Jacinda. These people have done again something incredibly in their life, and they have given a lesson for the others to take a cue from, and live by those principles. Take a cue from that, and probably relate it to their own life, and see how they can make use of. If I were to talk about Rosa Parks, one of the first female activists, this lady refused to give a seat to a white man. She was asked to get up from the bus, but then she refused to do that. She was actually jailed for that, but then she didn't care about that. Her only adamancy was, why should I also have that equal right to live in this country? Why was I asked to give up my seat? Likewise, Ruth Badger, she fought for the gender gender equality at the courtroom, right? Where there was so much of discrimination in gender, something that they passionately chose to pursue and fight for, and which is why we are talking about them today. So be it Sudhamurthy, be it Kiran Bedi, one of the Iron Lady of India. You talk about Kiran Bedi, she's a terror, right? People used to just tremble just listening to her name. That is the kind of niche she had created. So all these people in their respective fields have created some kind of a niche that is probably making all of us recall them in some the good things that they have done for the society, right? So again, how they have done that, it is by identifying their core values. What do I stand for? What is it, that core value I relate myself with? So identify three core values. It is mandatory for all of us to identify at least three core values that you think you possess from a list of so many values that I am going to be sharing with you all, right? This is a list of values that you could probably see and choose any three. And the reason I am asking you all to choose is, you may have more than three also, but these three are very, very passionate. They define you. It could be you are so very, charity oriented. You could be that person. You are so very acceptable, right? You are so very, you just don't give a big fight. Anything and everything, you just accept it as is. That could be your, that could be your core value. You could be a great contributor in whatever you chose to pursue. That could be your core value. You will probably be a personality who is very calm in handling things, right? So that could be your core value. You could be a very growth oriented person. So you could identify growth as your core value. You could be a person who is very motivating, right? You motivate people, and people just love coming and talking to you. That could be your core value. And you could just be very spiritual person. You guide people in spirituality. So you could identify with any of these spiritual in any of these core values that is identified. But the most important thing here is not only do you end at that, you will have to start believing that these are your core values, and you should not go back. You should not be that today I identify with this. No, no, I think you start doubting yourself the next day around. So it's very, very important for all of us to live by these core values. And how do I do that? Choose these values that are consistent with your personal vision and core beliefs, right? This is something that I believe in. So make sure you choose a belief, choose a core value that you believe in. You think about abundance, but the next minute you should not start worrying about what am I going to do for the next day's, uh, next day's grocery. Where will it come from, right? So if you think about abundance, believe that everything will come to you in abundance, right? So you cannot keep going back and forth. That way, you're not doing justice to your core value. Core values define your unique self. When you identify or relate, as I mentioned, you're a very accepting person. Anything and everything, nothing, rather, jitters, nothing just shakes you. You accept everything for what it is, who they are, just like that. So, when you have identified that acceptance as your core value, you should not you should not start questioning. So when you have dealt with that core value, make sure that you are retaining that and are consistent in that. So it helps you reflect your priorities and emphasize your strengths. Ask yourself if you are living these core values. Very, very important. Is it, when you have identified, as I mentioned, growth, am I living this on a day by day basis? Positivity, am I living it day by day? Spirituality, am I living it on a day in and day out basis? Enhance the impact of these core values through your action. Make sure you are showcasing your actions, showcasing through your words the positive narratives that you keep talking about, right? That you keep sharing with others. Make sure it gets exhibited in some way or the other. Your core value gets reflected in that. And last but not the least, provides guidance and avoids conflict. Once you identify, you don't have a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. It helps you, drive your next steps towards your goal accordingly. So use your personal values and helps you take decision. So the first thing we thought and understood was the knowing thyself. It's mandatory for us to know ourselves. The second one being how values help us. I mean, identifying your core value and living by those values. Now, moving to the third one, which is your creating of a personal branding statement. Now, if you all were to ask me what is Lakshmi, your personal branding statement, I would like to call myself as a my WhatsApp name also is Positive Lakshmi. So I would love to identify with positivity around me. I would love to believe that I generate positivity. I would love to believe that people come to me, they are given that positive aura, positive energy as they leave my way. So what could be my positive personal branding statement? I help people with my positive narratives to help them choose their positive narration, right? What they want to work towards, right? That is something that I am passionate about, and I am working towards that, and I slowly am building that. So you will have to mandatorily identify a personal branding statement. So let me help you draw your attention to what a personal branding statement is. How can you work on your personal branding statement? So it's what is our image, what we are, how we see ourselves, and how others see you. The subset being your personal brand. The subset of what I am and how the others see me is my actual personal brand, right? So let's do a crafting of our personal brand statement. How do you go about crafting your personal branding statement? A personal branding statement is a brief, powerful, and interesting introduction. Within those few seconds that you have interacted with that person, wow, what an interesting persona he or she is, right? That is the kind of interesting introduction when you which sparks the attention of the others. That is an impactful personal introduction. It should be memorable and punchy, solution oriented and concise. I should be able to recall it even after days, right? Oh, I met that lady in the lift. What a powerhouse, yeah, she was. And the way she described ourselves, this is how people should recollect us, right? So to this extent, we need to have our personal branding statement identified. It should not be more than 20 seconds and it should be like you are advertising, as good as an elevator pitch where you are working towards where you are introducing yourself, and you do a fantastic job of it, so that people recollect and recall you in the future, anywhere, anytime they probably see that thing they were associated with, as you were interacting in the elevator, right? So it's mandatory for us to have that very short. You cannot be very elaborate about it, lest people lose interest. So sample personal branding statements for you all. Here it is. I am Nidhi and I am a HR consultant. I am passionate about my mission to help people discover meaningful, sustainable, and successful careers. I enjoy working with people, and my people skills have helped me succeed in this role. Now, that's a impactful, again, personal branding statement. Let's look at another one here. I am Neeta, a passionate data scientist. My mission is to help people understand the power of data, and I take pride in providing key insights and recommendations that help leaders and take critical business decisions. My ability to look at the big picture and being detail oriented has immensely helped me in my line of work. She has beautifully identified her niche personality, and she is beautifully related to how that has helped. So this is how impactful your personal branding statement should be, right? So the last step in this building a powerful branding is reinvent yourself. How do I reinvent yourself? How do you reinvent yourself? How do I reinvent myself? Right? Image is everything. People look at you, the way you dress up when you walk into a room, the kind of aura that you carry, the kind of personality that you present. When people look at you, that intimidating persona, or that you know absolutely no nonsense persona, that is that is about your image that you would want to create for yourself. Retain, you are that confident persona, right? You are that persona people to reckon with, right? They cannot mess with you. Yet at the same time, you speak, you whatever comes out of your mouth is authentic, right? So for that you need to create an image. And how do you create an image? Let me help you with few of the tips here. We all have one. We need to sharpen and protect it. All of us are born with an image, but when you're fighting in this world in order to get that attention, when you want to be noticed, what is that image that people are looking out for, and how do I create that image? That's something that I'm going to be sharing with you all. Invest in reinventing yourself. Yes, I know my persona is this, but what is it that I can, what is it that I can reinvent? There's something that within me that is pushing me. What is it that is pushing me? So make sure you are spending some time, money, investing some money or some time into it as you reinvent yourself. So develop a signature style. Very, very important. Having a powerful signature style, right? The body language, the the eye contact. Watch a lot of, how do I develop this? Depending upon the profession that you want to choose for, identify a lot of, go through a lot of YouTube videos. See how, the way they are standing, the body language, the confident body language that they project. Make sure, you are trying to, in aping it, you are at least getting 90% of it. You cannot 100% ape it, but in the process you are learning, right? So that is one step towards reinventing yourself. Avoid saying sorry often, which means try and make as less mistakes as possible, as in the process of reinventing yourself. New professional headshots. Yes, you can take some professional help and get yourself clicked and have a very power packed social media image for people to notice you, for people to shortlist you, for people to get in touch with you. You can take some professional help who will build your professional who will help you build your professional persona, right? And profiles. And last but not the least, enhance your profile by positioning yourself the right way. I am a scientist analyst. I am a data scientist expert. However, whichever way you want to call yourself, make sure you have identified that, the right statement that you would want to be identified with, and project your profile in the in this exact way that you would want yourself to be identified with in the social media, in order to garner lot much attention. This will help you go one step towards building your personal branding. Look at these ladies, these lovely, lovely ladies who have rocked the signature styles, be it Sheryl Sandberg, be it Hillary Clinton, be it Ginny Rometty beat Hillary Clinton, Indra Nooyi, Usha Uttup, Sonia Gandhi, Kiran Bedi. All these ladies have rocked their signature styles. So, how do I re-engineer my digital presence? Carefully craft your social media profiles, right? It is very, very important that you create your uh, craft your social media presence in such a way that people you just they accept you for who you are, and you are getting the best out of them as well, because you have projected the right persona about yourself. Maintain a consistent image across social media profiles. Make sure across Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you choose to advertise yourself in, it is a consistent profile that you are maintaining. Present yourself, your professional story in LinkedIn. If you want to get more calls from the professional line, make sure you have advertised yourself in LinkedIn and join the right professional groups. It's not just enough to be socially present. Make sure you're joining the right groups that will keep advertising for more job offers, more blog posts, more insights into the industry that you want to get an entry into, right? So some personal branding book that probably will help you, if you go through, will help you create a more powerful personal branding, which is Me 2.0, Build a Powerful Brand to Achieve Career Success by Dan Schwabel, and Personal Branding Secrets for Beginners by Mary Lou Kaiser. So, with that, I'm going to be ending today's session on personal branding. If at all there is any question, please post that on the chat so that my colleague can help, get that question, and I will be more than happy to answer. So, Manasa, any questions coming up?
Nothing as of now, LJ.
Okay, so let's wait for. All right, with no questions coming, I will hand it back over to you, Manasa. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much. That was such an engaging workshop. Thank you so much again, Lakshmi Jeyaraman.